My name is Mike Stemm, and I'm the co-founder of New Covenant Foundation and currently the president. I first became interested in missions work when I moved to Pennsylvania, and we were members of the Christian Missionary Alliance. But it wasn't until about 20 years ago when I met a man, an Ethiopian, by the name of Worku Gole. Our pastor had met Worku while studying in Jerusalem, and they became good friends, and over a period of 3 or 4 years, Worku began to travel to Spokane, and over the time he began to understand that I was an international businessman, and finally in the year 2000, he was at my house for dinner, and following dinner he said, "Mike, I want you to come to Ethiopia and do a business assessment. Foreign aid is killing us." I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but I want you to do an assessment of how we might develop businesses so our people could become more self-sufficient and independent. And I remember saying to Worku, "Well, let me pray about it." He said, "I've already prayed and God said you're coming." So with that, in about 8 weeks, I was on a plane with 5 other individuals and spent 2 weeks in Ethiopia. I later realized that probably the purpose of the trip was not so much my going to help them, but God wanted to get my attention and maybe set some things in place that I had never planned on. I have always wanted to be a successful person, whether it be as a husband, a father, a businessman, a church leader within my own church. But I began to realize that God didn't create me to be a success. He really called me to be involved in doing something of significance. I had never understood the difference. But the more time I spent in Ethiopia, that first 2 weeks, the more I began to realize that it was all about trusting completely in the Lord, being obedient, and letting Him use me in a way that I had never considered. Long story short, within about 6 months, I resigned. As we began to pray with others, initially all of these coincidences began to occur. People that I'd never known, I would begin to meet, who either had experience in missions or had a heart for missions or seemed interested in helping birth something in Ethiopia. And as these began to occur, it then became very clear in my mind that these were not coincidences, but these were God appointments. Began to realize that before we did anything as an organization, we needed to establish relationships. As we looked at the life of Jesus, it was very clear that He invested in the lives of people. And for us to do anything in Ethiopia, we had to know these people. And I also began to realize very early on that it wasn't going to be anything I brought to the table that was going to be of significance. It was really developing relationships with these people and developing partnerships with the Ethiopians, and then allowing God and enabling these people to implement what God wanted them to do. That was most important. And God would use me in a way that He saw fit. But it no longer was about me, but it was the joy of just being allowed to go along in this incredible journey.